Dollar Tree. If you're not familiar with Dollar Tree, they sell things for $1. Is set to sell some items for more than $1. Items that can go for $1.25 to $1.50 will soon be found in the mix at some locations amid the typical assortment of dollar products. Now, I actually really like Dollar Tree. I think it's I don't know. There's so many dollar stores. I think Dollar Tree is the one that I really like, and the products that they have there are pretty darn good for $1. Like you can get even like name brand stuff. I mean, it's very much scaled down. Like, if you would get like this much in the package, you're only going to get like this much for $1. But the opportunity to be able to get something and not and still have it be brand name product is awesome. So they are feeling the well. There's a term for this where instead of inflating the price of like, oh, this water bottle used to be, it's up from lttstore.com, instead of being $29.99, we're going to raise the price to $33, right? And instead of doing that, what you would do is you would maybe, well, I mean, it's not really with a hard product, but say this was filled with like popcorn or something like that. It's like, oh, you get this plus the popcorn. So instead of, inflating the price to $33, they just like, instead of filling it to here with popcorn, they fill it to here with popcorn and still sell it at the same price. Now, I've seen it at my local convenience store where the, buy 2 bags of chips used to be $6. For big bags of chips, $6. Now it's $7. So, but for a while there, it was still $6. But they probably have done a combination of those things. So what they'll probably do is like, oh, that we lowered the amount that we're putting in the bag, and then eventually they couldn't stave off the inflation of the cost. So then they end up raising it $1 anyway, and then what they'll probably do is keep that same size and then maybe eventually roll it back to $6. And it's like, oh, cool, it's back to the price it was, but like really, it's not, because you're getting just that much less in the bag. So Dollar Tree embedded. A Dollar Tree embedded in its very name is what it stands for. Behind these doors, everything can be had for just $1. The mantra to which Chesapeake, Virginia company has held true for decades will now be only mostly true. So, I think there's something to be said for putting things in your name. Like, we do this, and then now we don't. I mean, Gap. The Gap is a great example of that. The gap was if I remember correctly, it was the gap between the lines on a record, because they were a record store, eventually started selling jeans, and then became the Gap as we know it today. But when you say $1, like it, look, if everybody had their own money tree and it just grew dollars, then these things could still cost more than $1. I mean, ultimately, I think that it seems like they want to get their their pricing back in check, and they probably will at some point to keep it going. But in the meantime, they're dealing with increased costs, right? Annual inflation in the U.S. reached 4.2% in July, the highest in 3 decades. And this week, in an appearance before Congress, Fed Chair Jerome Powell said that the price increases have worsened amid snarled supply chains and rising labor costs. So I actually wonder if they have. I wonder how hard it was for them to be able to implement that. When you talk about a company that has, kept everything at $1 for, what did it say, 4 decades, 3 decades. Well, it said for decades, our customers are the thrill of the hunt. Where did it say? As so true. Yeah, so it doesn't say for how long. I thought it did, but when you have a company that's based around everything's on for $1, then all of a sudden it's not. I wonder if, depending on the computer system that they have operating on, if it was actually like more of a headache. Because you wouldn't necessarily need a complex system of everything if you're only tracking cost. I would tend to think that you could just change the price, I would think, but who knows? People get caught all the time with like these dumb little things that turn into really big headaches. I mean, look at when the 2000 millennium bug, it was a thing, right? It's like, oh, no, nobody thought that that would be should be a problem, just putting in 2 digits for your year of the date. But turns out it actually was a really potential big problem that a ton of people that did not get enough credit helped work to make not a problem, mostly with older computer systems, not like our modern Windows 95, 98 computer systems.